It's January 25th. This is 2022, and I am currently recording video number 9. I've gotten a little behind on my regular videos, but I've not going to give up. Decided to keep pushing forward. I want to first give a quick update on my health. Blood pressure is coming down with a combination of diet, exercise, and medication. Not a lot of medication, fortunately. I'm going to try to keep it that way. Exercising about every day, sometimes more than once a day, but I'm trying to keep the variety up and try not to burn myself out. So as I've been able to exercise for longer, I've cut the number of exercise periods per day down. So two, sometimes one, at least one, but two, whereas I'm not doing like three, exercises a day or anything like that anymore. So I'm going to talk more about exercise in another video. I've been in better shape in the past. I do know a little something about it. I'm clearly not the expert that other people out there are. However, I think sometimes getting the perspective of somebody who struggles with weight and exercise and has continued to struggle and not give up can be valuable and motivating for people out there who have similar struggles. So I will talk about exercise in another video. But again, I'm feeling healthy. I'm doing a lot better than I was when I first started recording these videos at the beginning of the month. It's not even the end of the month. It's not even been 1 month. So I'm very happy with the progress. I can't expect everything to be perfect overnight. Nasal issues, sinus issues seem to be in check. Getting the blood pressure down definitely helped. So that theory has proved out to be true. Wish we would have known that last year. But now that we do know, we're making use of that knowledge. Also, I've got a spray that helps kind of open my sinus passages, my nasal passages, kind of the front end of the sinus up, which is helping me not store so much gunk up there overnight. So that's obviously working great as well. Today's video, however, I want to talk about diet. I'm not on a crash diet. I've tried that stuff before in the past. Hasn't worked. The definition of a fad diet is malleable. So I guess what I am doing could be described as a fad diet, but I don't see it that way. I've had some use of it in the past, especially combining with exercise, and it seems to be helping me right now. So I just want to talk about what I'm doing, not necessarily trying to get anyone else to do it, but if you're looking for something to try, this could be something that you might be interested in as it's working for me. So a combination of things. One, I've cut out sugar almost completely. Yes, I do allow myself a cheat day, so to speak, but even on cheat days, I'm being intentional about not eating too much sugar. Whereas in the past, I kind of just ate whatever I wanted, and if I gained weight, I would back off. But then being sick all last year, kind of got away from that and just kind of ate whatever, got into some, just kind of not keeping mindfulness of it, not keeping track of it. So yeah, when I do have a cheat day, I still keep the sugar very, very low. Um, and on the days that I'm sort of on my diet, which is probably 3, 4 days a week, I'm trying to do 4 days a week. Started out even more than that, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, at this point, 3 to 4 days a week on diet, and then having cheat day is kind of the common vernacular, but they're not really cheat days, right? Like I'm not eating 4,000 calories on these days. I'm still keeping it under 2,000, which means I should be hitting a calorie deficit. But the main point I want to make is even on the days that I'm not being as strict with my diet, I am keeping the sugar low. That does all kinds of things. That prevents your insulin from spiking so many different times, which is helpful with blood pressure, but also the way your body stores fat. And I say your body, my body, everybody's body for the most part stores fat, comes from carbohydrates, which turn into sugar. So if you're eating sugar directly, that even simplifies the process. So, fat consumption is going to, if you don't have a calorie deficit, is going to turn into fat in your body. Sugar consumption also turns into fat in your body. In fact, even protein consumption, if you do not have a calorie deficit, meaning you are not using in a day all the calories you are eating, your body is storing everything as fat. Now, the advantage that protein has is your body doesn't transform it and store it as fat efficiently. So you still don't want to overeat your calories if you're trying to lose weight, even protein. But protein does have a slight advantage uh, in the fact that it is not stored as fat as efficiently by the body, which means you're losing some there in the translation process if your overage is primarily protein. However, you don't get to pick and choose. You eat what you eat. Your body uses what it uses, and when it's used everything it needs, it starts storing fat. It doesn't care if it's got carbs left, if it's got fats left, or if it's got proteins left. So it's really hard to know for sure what's left over at the end of the day. So even though it stores protein less efficiently, again, it's not like you get to tell your body which ones to store and which ones to not. But there is a slight advantage to eating more protein. Now, when you're on a calorie restrictive diet, so I'm trying to eat around 500 calories a day on the days that I eat extremely light. And I'm trying to make sure as much of that is protein as possible. So I'm eating a lot of hard boiled eggs. I like them, which is convenient. Some people don't. But the main reason I'm eating hard boiled eggs is they're a very lean source of protein. They've got some other nutrients in there, and they're very easy to measure the calories. So they're a little less than 100 calories each for a large egg or an extra large egg. And then if you only eat half the yolk, they're about 75 calories each. So some of them I'll eat the yolk and some of them I won't. And I can do the math. It's pretty straightforward. And make sure I keep it under 500 calories a day. In addition to eggs, I am eating yogurt as well. Now, that I'm getting some sugar from the yogurt, but I'm not eating so much yogurt that that's really going to be an issue. And it has a pretty small amount of sugar in it to begin with, right? So you're talking 120 calories for one of those little cups of yogurt. Maybe eating two a day, sometimes just one a day, depends on how many eggs I eat, right? But the importance of eating yogurt, and there's lots of good things besides protein in yogurt, but it's got probiotics in it. So when you're eating, or when I'm eating, and I presume most people function the same way, fewer calories, you're moving less through your digestive system. And in order to keep that digestive system moving properly, in preparation for a day that you do eat a little more normal, or try to hit on your numbers, and I'll speak more to the numbers in a minute. It's good to have keep your probiotics in balance, and keep your system, trying to avoid gross words. Try to keep your system topped off with healthy things in your colon. So that's the benefit of eating yogurt. On this particular scheme, again, there's lots of benefits to eating yogurt, and that's a whole nother video, and somebody else could speak to that better than me. So if you're curious about the benefits of eating yogurt, put that in your YouTube, and let the algorithm give you yogurt videos for days. Uh, but so what I'm trying to do is keep it under a certain number of calories. Try to keep sugar to a minimum. Keep fat to a minimum as well, although less worried about that, again, because the total number of raw calories that I'm eating on my days that I'm limiting myself to 500 calories, my body's going to use that, right? I'm going to use all the 500 calories, really whatever form it comes in. So the main thing to avoid at that point is sugar for the insulin spike. Kind of avoid that as much as possible. It has effects on blood pressure, but it has lots of other effects too. Not particularly worried about diabetes per se, but it is a concern. It is something to think about just in general, especially when I've not been on track with it as well. Not running so much sugar, particularly corn syrup, through your liver has advantages. Your liver stores things kind of like the way your body fat does. It's a little different, but just anyway, you want your storage when you're trying to lose weight, and you're trying to lose weight safely and healthily. You want your storage systems to not be storing so much. To which there's really no efficient, effective way your body stores protein. So again, consuming that even when you're going light on other foods is important, especially if you're exercising. When you use your muscles, you're actually slightly damaging them. Those muscle fibers tear. And so if you're completely fasted, like 100%, you're not getting any nutrients in your body at all. There are things, primarily protein, that your body needs to allow those muscles to repair. So again, that's why I'm not doing a complete like just well, I'm just not going to eat for 30 days and see how much weight I can lose, because you will lose weight doing that. You can ask anybody. Well, I don't know if you could ask them personally. You might not know them, but there are people who have done like hunger strikes or just fasted for long periods of time for their health, and they will lose weight. There is a mathematics involved. However, there's a lot of other factors, and numerically they might not bear out significantly day to day, but they do have a cumulative effect. So when our body is completely starving, the storage mechanisms become a lot more active. They're looking for things to store. So your metabolism decreases. So to keep the metabolism up, you don't want to completely eat nothing, but you do want to minimize your calories. Well, what does minimal calories look like? This is where we're going to get into numbers a little bit. And I'm not going to use hard numbers because it's different for everybody, but there are some, it's not super different for everybody, right? Within a tolerance of 10-15% across gender and ages, there are some consistencies. So myself, I'll just use myself as an example. Uh, in a day that I do not exercise, 24 hours, I'm burning, just existing, just my organs and everything doing their normal functions, over 2,400 calories, so 2,400 calories a day. It's probably closer to 26, but since there's 24 hours in a day, it's convenient to think of it as 24. Now, if you're a 90-pound woman who's not particularly athletic, you're probably going to be less than that. And if you're a 400-pound man who is a beast, like lifting weights and stuff all the time, it's going to be quite a bit more than that. Even at rest, your muscles, just having that muscle mass will burn more calories in a day, even if you're not like actively working out or using them. So an athletic person's going to burn more. A small person's going to burn less. Um, there is a slight gender difference. I think it's like 5%, even when you factor in things like activity level and things like that. Women just tend to burn slightly fewer calories across all ages. And there's a factor for age as well. I might not have mentioned that, but I guess that's in there now. Anyway, but again, all these factors, while they're relevant, we're not talking, you burn twice as many calories or half as many calories. I mean, there's a general idea. So you might have even noticed on food, it'll say based on a 2,000 calorie diet. That's kind of where this baseline comes from. I'm a bigger guy, so I'm up above 2,000. Like I said, somewhere between 2,400, 2,600, somewhere in there. A smaller person would be under 2,000, but you're talking a particularly small person. So if you want to go by that 2,000 calorie on that box, for most people that's actually going to be helpful. For larger people, you're actually probably going to be burning more than that. Again, just by doing nothing. This is just your body's normal function. There's a term for this. It's called your basal metabolic rate. So when you're trying to lose weight, you want to eat less than that. So if we go by my 24 hours in a day, 2,400 calories I burn a day just automatically, then that means I got about 100 calories an hour. So if I eat 250 calories for brunch, that's a yogurt and an egg. For those of you who are kind of keeping track of what I said I eat on these light days, if I eat a yogurt and an egg, that means for the 2.5 hours after I eat that yogurt and egg, maybe not specifically because they got to digest a little bit, but just again for the sake of like conceptualizing the math, when I eat that yogurt and egg for 2.5 hours, my body is not using its body fat to live on because I've eaten 250, which would be 2 hours and a half. So once that food is digested, however, if I don't have any other calories moving through my body in my digestive process, I then start using body fat. So that's the idea of fasting without like fasting for all day or fasting for like a week or 30 days at a time, is just to be at a place where when you eat something, your body doesn't have 6 hours or 10 hours or 24 hours worth of calories, right? If you eat a large meal, like just a truly huge meal, you can, without being terribly full, you can hit 2,000 calories. So that's 20 hours for me where my body's going to be using the food that I've consumed, not the body fat. So what I'm trying to do is trigger my body to using its fat stores, which means twice a day I eat about 250 calories. I try to keep more than 2 hours between that, so about 6 hours apart. So at some point after eating 250 calories, 2.5 hours of the food use elapses, and my body's back to consuming my body fat to fuel just my general function. Then again, about dinner time, I will eat another 250 calories. But before I go to bed that night, my body's already back into consuming body fat. So then if I throw a day in there, these cheat days I'm talking about, and again, I want to be careful with this term cheat day. This is not a time to eat 3,000 calories. I'm trying to lose weight, even on the days that I eat more. So it's more like a normal, or what should be normal. Maybe not normal for my recent history last year, but what should be normal. So I'm trying to cap that at 2,000 calories on those days. So I might eat breakfast. I definitely eat more variety of foods for lunch and for dinner. And so between lunch and dinner, I'm probably not getting a fasted state. I'm eating more than 600 calories at lunch, meaning if I eat dinner 6 hours later, I've not yet gone back into that fasted state. And then so for dinner, I might have a bigger dinner because I've only eaten the 600 calories for lunch, which leaves me, quite a bit if I'm trying to keep it under 2,000. There are days in recent memory where I'm pretty sure I went over 2,000 a little bit. And there have been days that on my quote unquote cheat day, I was, super motivated and I was pretty sure I was under 2,000. So, foods have the calories listed. Sometimes you got to go to a website or something to, kind of confirm that, if you're eating eating out or something like that. But if you're cooking at home, all the calories are listed in the math. You can do it straight up, easy enough. So again, the idea is to create these calorie deficits, not just overnight. We call it breakfast for a reason. You're breaking a fast. So if you eat 2,000 calories throughout the day, at some point you sleep 8 hours at night, and you're burning about 100 calories an hour. Some point in the night, at about the 4 hour mark, you become fasted. So by morning, one of the reasons people feel so hungry is you break that fast by eating food again. So I'm trying to extend those fasted periods. Now, some people will tell you intermittent fasting is like a day-to-day thing. They'll go a whole day without eating food, and then the next day they'll eat whatever they want. And again, because digestion doesn't happen immediately, they can do that. I find the creating these multiple fasted periods throughout the day not only is easier for me psychologically, because again, conveniently, I like the hard-boiled eggs and I like the yogurt, so I get to eat things that are satisfying to me and still create these fasted periods. But I'm also not fasting for as long, so I get the psychological satisfaction of still getting to eat food, and I don't have as much of a battle, which isn't to say that eating 500 calories a day is easy. There is an amount of willpower involved, but I'm highly motivated, and I'm seeing progress already. Clothes are fitting differently. I haven't weighed myself again. I'm concerned sometimes the numbers don't always look, like, oh, I feel like I've lost 20 pounds, and then you get on the scale and you've lost 7, or I've lost, and that's demotivating. So I feel good about what I'm doing. Just looking at the videos I've posted, my face actually looks leaner now than it does from the first one. Let me know if you think that's also true. Go back to my first video. I'm framed up the same way I am in this one, and tell me if you also think my face looks a little leaner. Maybe I'm kidding myself, but that could be a fun thing just to get the comments up. You can let me know, and I won't be offended, right? Like I said, I'm motivated for my own reasons. So yeah, create these fasted states either every other day or multiple times during a day. Just make sure you're not exceeding these 2,000 calories, or if you're a bigger person like me, go on to a metabolic calculator online and figure out with your weight, gender, um, and height, and activity and athletic level, like what your calorie burn per day probably is, and then try to stay under that. And so the more under that a person is, the more quickly they'll lose weight. There's about 3,000 pounds, or 3,000 pounds, good grief. There's about 3,000 calories in a pound of human body fat. So every time you have these deficits, so you go 4 hours where your body is using your body fat instead of the food you eat because you've not eaten a lot of food, that's that's 400 calories toward the 3,000 you need to lose a pound of body fat. So if you eat 500 calories a day for 2 days in a row, and you're again using this 24 number that I'm using, you're going to exceed a 3,000 calorie deficit, which means I would be losing roughly about a pound every other day. But then every now and then there's a cheat day where I'm maybe eating, closer to 2,000 calories. But even at that, I want to keep it under 2,400 because I still want to get at least a 400. I want to get back to a fasted state overnight, and I want to, start that next day with at least 400 calories down, so that when I do eat my 250 and then it burns off, I still don't have all this leftover caloric value in my digestive system that my body's going to feed off of. So I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. I probably won't edit the video though. You can fast forward it. Well, I guess I'm telling you now after the fact. It's not going to do you any good. But I'm new to this. Cut me some slack. So anyway, that's what I'm doing as far as dieting. Nothing extreme. Some people will hear 500 calories a day and think that's pretty extreme. But as these things go, it's not. Eating lean, high protein foods, getting a little bit of sugar and a little bit of fat there. And so I'm getting a nice, even at 500 calories, I'm hitting all my macros, not depriving my body of nutrition. Something you can do if you're more concerned with that is chicken stock. If you're concerned with your blood pressure, you might want to make sure you get the low sodium kind. But chicken broth and chicken stock, they're anywhere from like 5 to 20 calories for a cup. And so, that's, if you're only eating 500 calories a day, adding another 25, calories for, a cup of chicken stock and a cup of chicken broth mixed together, that's 2 cups. That's a bowl of soup, essentially. There's not going to be anything in it but the broth. But, adding that extra 25 calories isn't going to be a huge deal if you feel like that's going to continue to give you that broader nutritional palette. Oh, I guess it's worth mentioning too, I'm taking a 1-a-day multivitamin, so I'm getting, that kind of nutrition as well. And then, but I do have the days in there where I do let myself eat something sweet, and I do let myself eat a full meal. We had Taco Tuesday today, so that was fun. And I've had sushi on other days. I like fish particularly, and so they're full of all kinds of omega-3s and things like that. But again, that's leaner. I'm not eating like the fried sushis and avoiding too much of the cream cheese, but more like avocado. So, I'm not gonna sit here and like sushi is the best food in the world for you to eat, but for a cheat day, that's not a bad go-to, especially again if one can keep it under a certain whatever your calorie threshold for the day is. That's my version of intermittent fasting that has been helpful to me in the past and that seems to be working for me now. I'll talk more about what kind of exercise I'm doing in a future video, and I'm going to talk more about blood pressure in a future video. I'm still kind of getting acquainted with the idea of that myself, so I don't want to speak a bunch of nonsense. So I'm still kind of reading up on it and going through my own experience with my own numbers, and there's still some variance. My blood pressure still technically would be considered elevated by most people, but it's way less than it was when all this started. So I'm happy with that, and I feel great, right? So I clearly the changes collectively that I'm making in my life, just even in 3 short weeks, has been a huge deal, and I'm very happy to report that. and I'm going to talk more about the journey. I've got some other plans, other things going on in my life. I'll talk about more in some of these kind of personalized videos, but I definitely want to get you some more fiction. I'm definitely going to get you some more political content. Um, some of these things, I don't even know what to make of. It feels like nothing needs to be said because it's so self-evident that things are not going right. But people disagree, and so I guess I need to, and people want to hear um, me talk more about that. I have again a page on Facebook called Macrobius Americanae, and I guess I should put a link to that in the comments. And then I'm a fiction writer, and I've got some more short stories. I've got several short stories I can read in here. I've got some shorter than the last one I did, and some longer. But I'm definitely going to continue to put that content up here as well. So lots to talk about, lots to do. This is video number 9, and I think I'm done. Thanks.